Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Suits, Season 7, Episode 6 review. Alright, so personally, it wasn't my favorite episode of Suits. It was pretty good, but not a lot of stuff happened. I mean, just sort of the same storylines with the whole Mike and Oliver prison case, stuff like that. So it is what it is. I just would first like to apologize for this one being late and my other reviews being late. Something came up last week and I had to, head out of town. Anyway, so I didn't end up getting my regular kind of schedule going with Salvation and Zoo on Friday and then this in the Center on Thursday. So these are going to be late. So today I'm going to do Suits in the Center. And then Salvation and Zoo. And Salvation was a double episode, so I gotta do both episodes there. Tomorrow. So we'll definitely see. But yeah, I'm not kind of quitting with any of these shows. I just I am getting a little bit behind here, but that's okay. I'm still gonna be doing the reviews and all the shows I'm still excited about, and I'm still definitely gonna do them week to week. So don't worry about that. But anyways, so basically, this episode kind of showed me a little bit of something here because Suits. I don't know. I'm kind of getting bored with it again. To be honest, I think last season it kind of reinvented itself with Mike going to prison and actually seeing some consequences for him instead of them just doing whatever. Being lawyers in New York and the big bliss of it, right? So I thought that was really cool. Where they did that, but this season is kind of getting boring again for me. I'm kind of disenchanted with it a little bit, but I mean, I think the end of this season is going to be good. I think the finale is going to be really good, but I definitely am kind of getting disinterested in this show, but I mean, I've been watching it since, season 3, I think, was live. I watched the first couple of seasons on Netflix, so I mean, I'm sticking with this show, man. Like, I love the characters in this. I love all the actors. And, I really want to stick with this show. And I don't think they're going to do too many seasons after this. I just think, some of the actors are kind of, up in the air about the future of this. But we'll definitely see how things go. And yeah, so we'll see if there's another season. But anyways, so this one starts out with Harvey asking Paula if he should tell Donna about her and him. And she kind of says she wants him to because she knows that he used to have feelings for Donna. And as we know, he probably still does. That kind of relationship has been going on for forever, right? Like, that relationship, probably never going to end. And my prediction is by the end of this show, whatever it is, this season, next season, season 12, who knows? But I think by the end of this show, Donna and him are going to get together, and they're going to end up, being in a relationship by the end. I just think that's, where the show has to go. But anyways, so yeah, so it's kind of, she's kind of sensing that he kind of would still have feelings for Donna. And this kind of proves that, him telling her, kind of proves that, he's dedicated to Paula and not her. So yeah, definitely interesting there. And then, Frank Gallo, which we saw last week, coming back to the show, he tells Mike and Oliver that his old lawyer, named Mrs. Randolph, has proof of what he is saying, because, Mike and Oliver not totally believing him, and he says he wants all the money at once, not just a down payment like they give him. So they go to see her, and they basically, force her into testifying for them and saying that, what Frank is saying is true. And this also showed off like Mike and Oliver, the teamwork that they have together. I thought that, they worked really well for this, and we've seen this last week too. I think with a few of the prisoner guys that they went and saw, they're really good together, working together, and they're able to convince people of a lot of things, and they're kind of built the same way. They kind of are really sympathetic towards people. They really care about about people that they're serving, unlike Harvey and Lewis and some of those guys from PSL that really only care about getting the big clients and winning and doing whatever it takes, right? So definitely interesting that Mike and Oliver really are different people with that. So this kind of gives them a basis for the case to go to trial, and then we find out later on about that. So for this one, I'm going chronological order. By the way, I did like doing storylines for this show, but this one I found it was a little bit easier to do chronological order because not a lot of stuff happened with the storylines. So yeah, that's that. So then Lewis, we see trying to cover his tracks a little. He gets Brian there to sign an affidavit to say that he wasn't that bad to Stephanie, because he receives a lawsuit from Stephanie Patel, who was back in the season. Maybe I think it was episode 3 that this happened, or episode 4. And the lawsuit's for sexual harassment. So a very serious thing there for Lewis, and he also says that he had one before on his record. So this is a big deal, and he doesn't want a reputation like this and whatever. And so obviously we know that he did it. He said that. Now I think Stephanie, I mean, we find out later on that it got to her. Really, it wasn't for another reason. But I kind of I think it's definitely sexual harassment. I think Lewis was definitely out of line. Don't get me wrong, but I think Stephanie also kind of did this to for her own gain as well, right? And that's kind of what Lewis thinks as well. I don't think that if she was still at PSL, she didn't get fired and all this, she wouldn't have brought this suit, right? So that's what Lewis kind of finds out later on, that if he apologizes, and then everything kind of fixes, because she wasn't really launching this lawsuit for she was kind of doing it for her own gain, sort of thing, right? And kind of using that to further getting back at Lewis and the firm, more than her actual feeling about it, right? So anyways, then we get Mike, and that story is constant in this episode. Mike lies to Harvey then about after Harvey finds out that Gallo is involved with Mike. He says that he's involved in Brooklyn housing or whatever, right? And so then Harvey kind of spends the whole day there, going to people and asking if Mike is still on this case, because he's kind of getting a little suspicious. So he finally goes to Oscar Reyes at the end of the day, basically, and he finds out that Mike is still working on the case, this prison case, without his permission, and this obviously means that Mike broke his deal to Harvey, right? So Harvey says, if you spend one more minute on this case, that Harvey's going to blow it up in court. So obviously a big deal. Mike wouldn't want that for all the people involved. So basically, he shuts him down. He finally finds out. Personally, I thought this was going to be like a finale thing. I thought Harvey was going to find out later, and then big stuff would happen. But I think that it was the right approach to do this as well, having it in episode 6, kind of taking the storyline and kind of breaking it up right away, instead of it lasting long. So it was interesting, but didn't expect that. So he basically, he has to tell Oliver that, he's off the case, Mike does, and kind of, he can't help him anymore, and that's obviously a tough thing for Mike to do. So then Katrina goes to Stephanie Patel, and it's nice to see her again. We haven't seen her in a few episodes. I think her character is really interesting. I loved the time when she was in the show, and she was kind of like Lewis's sidekick, and the whole "you just got lit up" thing. That was just amazing. I mean, that was just, it was comedic. It was, suspenseful. All the stuff that they did together, and the teamwork that they had, those two characters. And they really played well off each other, that Rick Hoffman, and I'm not sure who plays Katrina, but the actors there. Anyways, I just love that. So I'd love to see Katrina in the show again, more like that. But I think that the actual actor's working on some other things right now too. So I don't think she can be, like a show regular. But but she's still in it a little bit. So she goes to Stephanie, tries to get her to drop the lawsuit, and obviously, things go from there. So basically, Katrina, kind of gets to the bottom of it. Stephanie tells her that it's for respect, and no one at this new job thinks she's hacking it as a lawyer or something like that. So she goes back to Lewis, gives him the deal that Stephanie says would suffice. Basically, it's him admitting guilt and him paying her some money. And Lewis is kind of mad about it. He doesn't want to admit guilt because of the whole because of his past. And Katrina tells him not to go to see Stephanie under no circumstances. So of course we know Lewis is going to go see Stephanie, right? That's just how it goes. So that was kind of an obvious thing. But so then tension between Mike and Harvey kind of builds. Rachel thinks these lies are just or just like when he was a fraud. And she's really, really upset with him. And we saw this last episode too at the very end of it, and at the beginning of this one. But this again, how she has to lie to Harvey here. And I don't know. In my opinion, I think annoying Rachel is back. I mean, that's kind of an ongoing thing with the show that people always Rachel crying. That's basically all all she does really with this show. And she gets involved with a lot of things that she probably shouldn't be involved in, stuff like that. And I don't know, I think this is she's way overreacting. I think it's not like when he was a fraud at all. I think these lies, okay, so what, he's lying about working on a case and whatever. And she says that he's gonna get fired and stuff. I don't know, I think it's a way overreaction. And I think Rachel just needs to, kind of calm down a little bit, and sort of support Mike a little bit more than she is right now. But I mean, yeah, like that's really all she is in the show right now, is kind of being like that, and then also helping Donna. And I'd love to just see a storyline with her, again, like the, helping that man out of death row, like last season. That was a great storyline for her, and I really thought it was good. We got into her character more, we learned more about it, but we haven't seen that this season yet, and we're 6 episodes in, and that's basically all she is again. So I think she's a big enough character, and Meghan Markle is such a great actor, that they really need to give her more. They need to give her a storyline. They need to give her something in this season to kind of further her character, or else she's just going to end up, like annoying Rachel, crying every episode and whatever. So, and I'm not trying to be mean at all, but that's like what her character is, right? Like, Meghan Markle's such a good actor, but they don't really give her a lot, the writers. So it's, yeah, it is what it is. And really, I'm not one to judge at all, because any writer of any TV show is better than me. But I'm just saying that I think that they can do a lot more for her, and they have done in the past. So why can't they do it now, right? That sort of thing. So then Lewis goes to Stephanie. Of course, we knew he would. And it just goes so bad. I mean, he tells her that she's going up against someone way out of her league and that she has no chance. And obviously that's just going to set her more. So the meeting goes very bad, and then that basically spurs Stephanie to subpoena Donna and Rachel and the rest of the witnesses in the room to basically testify against Lewis. And it basically confirms that she would win the trial if it were to get there. So then, finally, Harvey tells Donna about him and Paula, and, Donna, says, she already knows it, she saw him with the car and the suit or whatever, right? But as we find out later, that she was just pretending all that, and she didn't know. Obviously, Harvey, couldn't see through that, but, she didn't know, at all. She didn't see it coming. And she's really surprised afterwards after he tells her. So obviously it's affecting her quite a bit. And that's kind of an the storyline was kind of going over this whole episode, and it was kind of a big deal when he finally told her. And she says thank you for telling me or whatever, and whatever. So so then Brian gives Lewis the idea to tell her that to tell Stephanie that he's sorry, to finally just go over and apologize, right? Instead of trying to get at her and saying all these mean things to her again and again, maybe that'll work. So Lewis kind of takes that approach. He goes to Stephanie, opens up to her, tells her what's going on with Tara and him, and why he went off on her, took it out on her. He apologizes, tells the truth to her, and Stephanie says that she's going to drop the suit. And that kind of was the ending to that storyline. But then we also found out in that scene that it hurt her because she's 34 and she can't really get a boyfriend because she's working all the time. She doesn't really have time for that sort of social life. And so it really got to her that way. And it wasn't really about her earning respect and all that. So it was kind of emotional scene, definitely. Kind of learning about Stephanie. I think at this point, her kind of storyline is run its course. I don't see her coming back in the show after this, but we'll see. Maybe she might come back and they write some sort of story for her. I'm not sure. But she has had a fair amount of screen time this season, so we may see her again. So then, as a result of this, Donna then gives Lewis the associates back to him, and that's just a big moment for Lewis to finally get them back. I think they took them from him in episode 3, so it's been, or maybe episode 2, so it's been a good 4 episodes here that he's been without them, and that's kind of Lewis's main thing is the associates. So yeah, that's a really big moment there. So then this scene kind of took me by surprise. Alex interrupts the whole courtroom, which, by the way, I'd like to say in this show they do this a lot, where random people just walk in the courtroom and say whatever, like Mike has done it before. But is that legal? Like, is that really how things go? Like, is there a courtroom that's going on, a case is being tried, and a guy just walk in and go past the wicket or whatever and just approach the judge and talk to them? Like, I don't think that would be allowed. Like, even if they are lawyers, right? I don't think that would be allowed at all. I think that's kind of unrealistic, but they do it a lot in this show. They kind of stay consistent with it. So, obviously I'll let it slide, but it's just kind of weird. So anyways, he interrupts the whole courtroom. He tells the judge that Mike was still working on the case. And he's there with a vengeance. He threatens Oliver to get him on the stand. He'll do anything to prove this, and he's really getting dirty with this, saying all this stuff and saying he has proof that he was still working on it, whatever. It's just going really, really bad, really fast. So Mike just comes clean. He stands up and he admits to it and tells the judge that he was still working on the case and whatever. And so the judge dismisses the case. Now, he doesn't throw it out, but he dismisses it. And that's, a big deal for Mike and Oliver, that this case has now been dismissed, and that both of them, I don't think, can ever work on it again. So it's definitely upsetting for Oscar and all the people involved, right? Because it was class action. So Alex kind of ruins the whole thing, and that's a big deal. So then Donna then gives Harvey the keys to his apartment back, and this was a big scene as well. I mean, for the Suits fans, I mean, this is a big thing about her kind of letting Harvey go, and Harvey doing the same with her, with Paula now. So they're kind of splitting up. She's not her secretary. She's not his secretary anymore. She is letting him go, letting him be with some other woman, and it's definitely interesting. So she gives her the keys to his apartment, and she's happy for him. Says you can be with her and whatever. I'm happy for you. So, and then Harvey says thank you, Donna. The iconic thank you, Donna. He says it about every episode. But yeah, so really good moment there. Really warm moment. So then we get at the very end, kind of the last few seconds of the show, or the episode, sorry, Oscar is very mad at Mike. He sees him again. He says it's been thrown out, and, he's obviously reacting to it all, which I don't blame him at all. I mean, he has every right to be mad about this. Obviously, Mike didn't tell him the truth. Oscar didn't know what was all going on, that Mike signed his contract, and so on. But Mike says at the end he will make things right when Oscar's walking away. So I don't know what he could do at this point. I think he's got a few more things up his sleeve that he's going to try to work in here, that he's going to try to, get this case back or, get someone to work on it. I'm not sure. But I think he's already toed the line way too much with this case. And I think if he does anything more, I think bad stuff's going to happen. So we'll see how he is going to make things right. But you know him. He's going to do it, right? He feels bad, and he's going to feel sympathy towards Oscar and the rest of the class act. And so, yeah, he's definitely going to do something, and we'll have to see that in the next couple episodes. But this was kind of the big thing then after that, a few seconds. Harvey then confronts Alex why he barged in the courtroom like that. And, he says, Mike was right. You didn't have to do that. You could have talked to him in private or whatever. And then eventually, they could have got the case dismissed that way, but he had to make a big show of it. And so Harvey says it's about protecting yourself, not your client, to Alex. So he kind of is trying to piece things together, and he really wants the truth about what's going on with Alex and his client. So he suspects, that some more is going on here with Alex, and Alex may not be telling the whole truth about it, that he may actually, be involved with something bad here, and he might, be getting blackmailed by this company to make this suit go away. So big deal there for Harvey, confronting Alex. Yeah, so that is, really interesting. I think we're definitely going to see more of that in the next couple weeks for this show. I think it's going to be a big deal. I think some is up with Alex. Obviously, we knew this from episode, I think it was 4, with the Bratton Gould thing. Yeah, it was 4, not last week. But obviously, we knew that he was into something bad here, but I think it's going to come out now, and I think he's going to play a big role in the rest of these episodes here. So we only have 4 episodes left. Remember, it's 10 and 6 for this show, not 8 and 8. Still don't know why, but it's whatever. So they do 10 weeks and then break, and then around, I think it's January or February, they come back with another 6 to finish off the season. But they kind of treat this show like 2 different seasons, so it's kind of like season 7A, season 7B, and so they have a finale for each. That is pretty big. Walking Dead does this too, mid-season finale. They have 8 and 8 though, not 10 and 6. So it's a little bit weird, but anyways, it is what it is, and I like it. I don't have a problem with it. But anyway, so 4 episodes left of this show. Gonna be pretty exciting, to be honest, to see what they're gonna do. And I have some big news for Suits as well. I'm gonna be making a video about it. Maybe later today. Yeah, probably later today. But it is big news. I'm really excited for it, to be honest. So I will let you guys know. I'm gonna make a video. I'm sure that some people have already seen it, but I mean it hasn't really been big news. So I'm definitely gonna make a video about it, sharing it with you guys. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, yeah, that just about does it for this recap. Really good episode, and I'm excited for our average episode. I shouldn't say really good because I didn't love it, but sets it up for the next couple episodes. So for this one, for the rating, I'm going to give it a 3.7 out of 5. I mean, it was good, but I mean, really, they brought up this new storyline with Lewis. That kind of brought up already what happened with Stephanie. Didn't see it coming, though, in fairness. And then the whole Mike and Oliver thing. They had this whole storyline, right, about him working the prison case. And then all of that is just basically kind of for nothing, because now it's just stopped and the case is dismissed. And for the last 2 episodes, what was that worth, if the case is just stopped? So, my opinion, right now, this episode is a 3.7, but I think in a couple episodes, when we find more about what Mike is going to do to make things right about this whole prison case, and where that storyline is going to go with Oliver, then the rating might be higher, because maybe then we find out that this was necessary for it to be dismissed, and it's going to lead to other things, and the same thing with Alex as well. So I think definitely we're going to see, this episode be more important. But for right now, I don't see a lot of this stuff, coming up again and being, kind of relevant to what's going on right now, at least in the story. So yeah, that's my rating. So my favorite character for this one's Lewis Litt. It just, the way he handled this whole thing, he went the Lewis way basically at first, or not even at first, but he got Katrina back, to do that, and I really like, her coming back in the show, and then he kind of does the Lewis way, where he goes to Stephanie and, kind of trash talks her a little bit and puts her down even more, and that's, obviously not helping his cause. And then in the end, he goes to her, tells the truth, he apologizes, and he finally makes things right. And that, that's just great to see from Lewis. I mean, to see that emotional side of him that we see sometimes, but not all the time, it's really nice to see. And to see that, he is human still, right? And not just, a badass lawyer, who does anything. So, yeah. And then, of course, him getting back his associates. And I mean, I think he definitely earned it to get them back. And I'm excited to see him back with the associates. I know it's going to be some funny scenes coming with him, welcoming him back or whatever. So that'll be funny. But yeah, so Lewis and Rick Hoffman's doing a great job portraying him as another season as usual. He never disappoints. I've never seen bad acting from him in any of the shows so far. So that's great. And Gabriel Mocht and Patrick J. Adams, always great. And once again in this episode as well. So yeah, I am a little bit kind of worried about this show and in regards to where it's going to go after this season, but we'll see. If it comes to the season 8, I'm going to be sticking with it. I'm going to be watching season 8. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to be that upset about it, right? So that's just where I'm at with this show. But yeah, big news about it, and that's going to be coming soon, so stay tuned. But anyways, that just about does it for this review of Suits Season 7, Episode 6. I will see you next week for Season 7, Episode 7. See you guys.
Tonight, I'm the last man standing through a wish down the well, but I fell in after trying to drown another sorrow. Hold it down till tomorrow.